there. It is Dave Mamano, your host of, you guessed it, The David Mamano Show. Hey, I am so excited. First of all, thanks for joining us here today. Really appreciate it if you're watching, viewing. Share the love. Get the word out. I have such amazing guests. This show is great, not because of me, just because I know great people. And today on the show is probably the greatest person that I know. He's a superhero. He really should be one of the Avengers at this point. His name is Jack Daly. If you haven't heard of him, get to know him. Google him now. Look at his site. You'll be blown away. Jack, you're a great friend. You've been a mentor to me, a mentor to, I'm going to say, hundreds, if not thousands, and maybe millions through just the different content that you put out. So thank you for doing what you're doing, and welcome to the show.
Hey, you know what, Dave? It is great to see you. I haven't seen you for 2 years, and I'm going, where is the mystery man? And we got a chance to catch up just before we went live on the show here, and I'm glad to hear that everything is terrific. So Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh, so excited. Yeah, I kind of went underground. I was doing a show for another company, but I'm back, and you're one of my first guests. So thank you so much, Jack. Appreciate it. So
awesome.
I want to give an overview, and I'll try to do this within a couple hours here. No, I'll try. I'll try to do a couple minutes here of Jack and what he's done, and then we're going to get into how Jack can help you grow your company, grow your sales, grow your culture, but most importantly, grow yourself. He's amazing. He's done so many things. And every time I talk to you, Jack, I feel like you're just getting started with, just talking about your new nutrition program, right? It never ends. Continuous self-improvement. I love it. So everybody, Jack Daly. So this is an overview. I'm going to miss a lot. Keynote speaker, serial entrepreneur, business growth catalyst, mentor, coach to so many. He started out as a CPA, so good at what he was doing, they made him CEO of multiple companies that grew to multi-million dollar companies, a lot of sales as well. Got his MBA. He was a captain in the Army. I mean, right now we're talking G.I. Joe, but wait, there's more. So he has written numerous books, one, Hyper Sales Growth, which I read, when it first came out. Super. If you're looking for the book on sales, Hyper Sales Growth is one of them you need to read. And then the next one Jack wrote too it's called The Sales Playbook. And that's the next book you want to read to grow your sales as well. And then if you're looking to grow your own personal life, health, wellness, experiences, adventure, just the journey overall, the quality of your life. Jack wrote what is probably my favorite book I've ever read, Life by Design. And I'm actually in it because I wrote a testimonial. So I was listening to it on audio, and then I heard my name. I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote a testimonial for Jack. So Life by Design, incredible book. So Jack, and you would think wow, what a fulfilling life right there. But no, in his 50s, he decided that he wanted to start doing marathons. And then he wanted to start, I believe at age 57, he did his first Ironman, right? And since then, I looked at your website. It's probably going to be updated, Jack, because I think the numbers were low. But he's done a marathon, at least one marathon in every U.S. state, in every continent, and Ironmans all over the world as well, which we're going to get to. He's a Philly boy, so obviously very happy about the Eagles recently, right? So, and we were happy too because, KC beat our Bills,
because
right?
Kansas City didn't need to be there. Yeah, I got it.
They did not. If the Bills were in there, it'd be a different story, but next year, right? So, if you go to Jack Daly's website, you get to see his bucket list, right? You make your bucket list public. You make your goals public. You're very transparent, right? But I was particularly interested in your bucket list, and I clicked on it again this morning, and I couldn't get through it because it's 21 pages long, and a lot of the stuff's checked off already too. So most of it's checked off.
Put another way, it's over 400 individual items,
right,
of which 80% are complete, and a single item might be run a marathon in all 50 states. So it isn't like the individual items are just individual. That's a marathon in all 50 states. It's just one of the 400, right?
Yeah. Well, and
crazy.
It's and if I know you, Jack, you probably added more this month, right? So you're right. Now, Jack, Jack doesn't hide anything. He just told me he's his mid-70s. in still more active than 99% of most people. He just signed up with this woman who is doing a nutrition program with him, and he's I told you he's mid-70s, not to tell his age, but to tell his biological age, which is in his mid-50s, right? How about that, right? So, so Jack, you are I call you Super Jack because you are a superhero. So excited that you're in my life. You helped me a lot years ago when I needed a mentor. What happened was you were being interviewed by Darren Hardy, and it was on a CD I put in my car, and you said everyone should have a mentor in different areas of their life. And so I called you. I said, Jack, I want you as a mentor. And you're like, Dave, I thought more people would call me, but you're the first. So I'm signing up.
Let's do it. Yeah, there we go.
And I met you through EO Entrepreneurs Organization years ago. We've done some sailing and some great things together.
I remember being out on that sailboat like it was just yesterday, and it wasn't just yesterday.
I probably was 10 years ago, right? So crazy.
Yeah.
So, well, Jack, I've done so much talking. Give us, what did I miss, and why? What is this inside of you that has this insatiable thirst to kind of squeeze the juice out of your life in just so many different categories?
Yeah, so I guess the easiest way to describe it, Dave, is that when Bonnie and I got married, which we got married early in life, I was 20 and she was 19. As we started talking to each other in the early days of our marriage, we discovered that our parents were having the same conversation in separate houses. And the conversation sounded like this: when we retire, we're going to do A, B, and C. When we retire, we're going to do 1, 2, and 3. Both of our dads passed away around the age of 50. So none of that stuff got done.
Right.
And I looked at Bonnie and I said, we have one life to live. I want to live it big, suck the marrow out of life. So let's start making a list of all the things that we want to do before we're too old to enjoy them. And we started crafting these lists, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And as we checked the boxes off, we're going, this is a heck of a lot of fun. And we just kept adding to the list, and on it goes. That was called, back in my 20s, I called it my life list. And then the movie came out called The Bucket List, and I'm going, that's a way better name than that. Now, this is what I can tell you. I'm very list-oriented. I'm very, very driven to accomplish things in life. I've been goal-oriented since I was 13. I had a life plan where I was going to be by the age of 30, at 13 years old, in 4 dimensions of my life: financial, professional, education, and family. So all of that is in the wiring. And here's what I can tell you, that the bucket list is not something I ever want to have completed. So when you said you're probably adding to the list, I'm adding to the list all the time. And my ears are open and I'm going, wow, I've never done that. I've never run with the bulls in Papillona. So put that down. I've yet to meet a president of the United States in the Oval Office. Put that on the list. I haven't been on Air Force One yet. Put that on the list. And people start to laugh at me and go, well, you're putting ridiculous things on your list. And I'm going, okay, wait a second. I one time put on my list that I wanted to fly a jet fighter plane. I didn't want to ride in it. I wanted to fly a jet fighter plane. And a YPO guy sees that on my list because I published it all for the world to see. And he says, have you got that box checked yet? And I said, no. And he said, well, I bought a jet fighter plane from the U.S. Air Force, and all we need to do is figure out where and when, and we'll make it happen.
Oh, my God.
And his name was Wei Chen. And within about 3 months, we found a place to land the plane. He rolls that plane up, taxis it up, gets out of the cockpit, shakes my hand, hands me a blue helmet, and says, jump in, let's go. And in my book, Life by Design, I actually have a picture of me flying a jet fighter plane. So with no flying instructions. So my message to the world is don't put all the reasons why you can't do something down. Figure it out. You know, I'm a copious reader. One of my favorite books of all time is Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Yeah.
And basically she says people come in one of two categories. You're either a growth mindset person or a fixed mindset person. And a growth mindset person looks at life and says, filled with opportunities. And the fixed mindset person says, nothing but challenges. And the fixed mindset person says, well, the reason I'm not being able to hit my numbers as a salesperson or sell as much as you're expecting me to is because the competition has a better price or a better product or the economy's in the crapper or whatever. That's a fixed mindset person. A growth mindset person says, how can I figure it out? Because my competitors are all going to blame it on X. And if I could figure it out, it's more for me. So I am this growth mindset person looking for not the reasons why I couldn't meet a president of the United States, but who do I know that could get that to happen for me?
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm surprised you haven't met a president yet. So that's on the list.
I've met a president. I haven't met him in the Oval Office. That's
you're going to be in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and the jet flight is crazy, and congrats on doing that. And that's a beautiful example of just putting it out there. You literally attracted it, right? I mean, it's just, talk about manifesting, right?
For sure.
And then,
look, Dave, you mentioned doing an Ironman. At 58 years old, people were telling me, you're too old to do an Ironman. Well, wait a second. There's people older than me are doing Ironmans. So if you really want to tell me why I can't do one, maybe I don't know how to swim. Maybe that would be a good answer because I didn't know how to swim at 58. And the Ironman starts with a 2.4 mile swim on the clock. And I went on in 8 years to do 15 full Ironmans, including the World Championship in Hawaii. Figure it out. Okay, I don't know how to swim. Hire a coach, find the process, and practice the process.
And you weren't a big cyclist either, right?
No.
Yeah, so that was another thing because it's 112 miles of cycling.
Yeah, 112 miles. The last time I was on a bike was when I was a teenager. Yeah.
Right. So you did that at age 57, 58. That was like, so, yeah. I mean, that's got to be so, I know it's inspiring for me. I just turned 56 and I haven't done an Ironman yet. So you're inspiring me. Like I have a friend who trains people.
You've got time. You have time.
I've got to do it. No, I think the world is telling me because I have a friend who he's local and he's done a bunch of Ironmans and triathlons, and he just opened up a coaching program to help people get ready for it. And he's asked me if I want to be a client. And I'm like, I think so.
Or on a separate time other than this podcast, talk to me about that because I've put over 100 people in the Ironman sport very successfully. I'd find a way to break it down such that you go, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
And if I can get you to say I can do that about 5 times, you'll be able to do it. And it takes me about 15 minutes to kind of tell you the story as to how you can make it happen. Anybody at any age, in any shape.
Truly appreciate that. Jack, I got it because you're so inspiring. Your energy is massively contagious, right? I think most people after they're with you, they're ready to run through a brick wall. But here's a question. We were just talking about the mindset book, which I love as well. Do you think it's possible for someone that has a fixed mindset to transform into a growth mindset person?
Absolutely. So the best thing about Carol Dweck and the author of Mindset is that we're not born as one or the other. We get to choose, and we can choose at any stage of our life. All it is flicking the switch. And hey, let's look at it an entirely different way. Dave, when the pandemic hit and we all went into lockdown, well, you do professional speaking. I was doing professional speaking full time back then. And all of a sudden it was like, wait a second, you can't travel anywhere. And even if you could, they can't come out of their homes. So who are you going to talk to? Right. And I said, well, listen, most of the time that I speak, I'm teaching salespeople and I'm teaching entrepreneurs how to grow their business. They've never been in a pandemic. if they ever needed me, it's now. So I need to figure out how to get to them. And I brought a crew into my house in April of 2020, the first month of lockdown. And I said, take this room and build it into a virtual studio. And it has to be really simple because I'm not good with technology and I'm going to be the owner operator of the studio. So if it went down, I don't want hundreds, if not thousands of people to be disconnected. So we got professional lighting and cameras and big screens and all that in the house now. And in June of 2020, I set a Guinness World Record for the largest virtual conference done to date of 21,261 people.
Wow.
But the better part of that story is that I held my speaking pre-pandemic to 85 gigs a year, no more because I didn't want to live in a hotel. I averaged 17 speaking gigs a month for 2 years during the pandemic.
Wow.
So I doubled my revenue in an arena where my competitors said, I got to go find supplemental income because speaking is dead, right?
Right. Yeah.
That is the mindset differential. And I could have gone into the corner and done what was me. And look, I'm going to share something very private with you. What I don't tell people typically is, while everybody else got the word that they were going into lockdown during the pandemic, well, April 1st, 2020, that's the first week of lockdown, my doctor called and said, I have malignant melanoma, stage 3, on the top of my head, and I need to get in the hospital and have it removed. Surgery. And I'm going, everything I'm watching on TV, people are rolling into the hospital and they ain't rolling out. So I think we ought to wait about 6 or 8 months. And he goes, well, that's your choice. But, if you wait 6 or 8 months, we won't have to make a decision because you'll be dead.
Oh, shit.
And I said, that's a very compelling argument. When's your first available? And within a week, I was in the hospital, had the size of the palm of my hand chopped off the top of my head, declared cancer-free, and then 8 months later, it came out of my neck, and I was 54 weeks in a cancer program. All of that's taken place during the pandemic and during the time period where I doubled my revenue as a speaker because of a positive growth mindset.
Right. Well, I'm sensing that you almost relish a challenge, right? Oh, yeah, you're going to put me down? We'll see about that.
Love people telling me I can't do something. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Let me show you, right? Hold my beer, right? Well, Jack, you're such a well-rounded guy. A lot of guys that have had the financial success and the life success, the business success that you have, other areas start to falter, right? They're overweight. They're not healthy physically or mentally. Their marriage, family life is not good. You've done you've been a very well-rounded guy. You talk about Bonnie. I mean, unfortunately, she passed away of cancer. God, is it 7, 8 years ago now?
7 years ago, yeah.
7 years ago. Yep. And when she passed away, I cried, and I never even met her, but I met her through you on Facebook, et cetera. And you guys were, talk about like the epitome of incredibly engaged, loving couple, beautiful kids. And so you've really been very intentional, very instigative on planning every area of your life for success. And I think that's what makes you very special.
Yeah, Bonnie and I I don't dwell on the negativity of losing Bon. I'm so grateful. 52 years together.
Wow.
Like, how many people can say that they lived with their best friend for 52 years? Yeah. So I just cherish the time that we had together. I just think that we've got one life to live, and why not sit down and make it exceptional, right?
Yep.
You and I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, Dave, and you and I can share the stories of businesses that have failed, marriages that have failed, poor relationships with the kids, poor health, and the list goes on and on and on. But usually in that mix, there's something that was successful. Like, they had a successful business and it still is successful, except everything else is broken. Well, whatever is happening to cause the success, there's probably a plan, a route, a process that could be followed in the other disciplines, right? So it's really, I think, comes down to time management. You, me, and the listeners all have the same hours per week, 168. It's just that most of us aren't treating that 168 like the biggest bank account of all time. I can make more money. I can make all kinds of things happen. I just can't make more time. So what I've taught myself to do is to sit down and seriously think about what's important to me, and the things that don't make the list, I say no to. So I spend my time turning things down and saying no to all kinds of things. And that might even include meeting my next door neighbor, because there just wasn't enough room in my 168 work, right? And I don't walk around feeling guilty about it. The car's in the garage. I get in the car. I pull out of the garage. I open the garage when I come home and I pull it in. And I have to go out of my way to meet my neighbor. I've got so many friends all over the world. I'm not shopping for new ones. So, people look at me and go, wow, I would have expected, you're the life of the party, Jack Daly. I would have expected everybody at the country club that you belong to know you. Well, hardly anybody knows me. I'm there to go with Karen, my new wife, and play golf and share time with her. And that's it. And I don't need to know anybody. So that's it. 500 members. I'm sure they have names. I just don't know.
Well, I'm glad I made it as a friend under the wire there. So,
you know what? I think the big moment was that day that we did the brewery and the sailboat.
Yeah,
and
that was awesome. That was bonding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
You love Rochester, New York. I know you love it. In the summer, right? In the summer. You left Philly because you thought Philly had too much snow, right?
Absolutely.
Let alone Rochester, New York. I want to just talk to you about, I know that you coach a lot of people, right? So people are coming to you obviously because they want to bring their life and or their business to the next level. What's a common area that people are in when they come to you, and what are some of the first things that you do to help them get the flywheel turning in the right direction?
Wow, that's a packed question. There's we could do a whole podcast on just that question. So first order of business, I would tell you, is that I don't coach a lot of people. It's a very limited portfolio. I max out at about 15 people that I can coach at any one point in time. And quite frankly, Dave, I'm not the right coach for most people, and I tell them that straight away. I act, for a business owner, I act almost as if I own the company. And even though I'm wearing the coach hat, I forget. And it's like, okay, let's go build this company. The biggest thing in coaching business people that are entrepreneurs, CEO owners, and I'm just talking about the business side and not their personal lives, but I do both. But on the business side is, what are you trying to build? You can't get there unless you know what there is, right? So when so many people come to me, Dave, and they go, well, I want to be bigger. What does that mean? Well, my revenues are 20 million and I'd like it to be 30 million. So 30 million by when? And well, someday. No, but and
why,
it's
right?
vague, and it's vague. And is it retail? Is it wholesale? Is it technologically driven? Is it have people? Do they work? All of the questions that you can, in effect, paint the picture what does your ideal company look like when it's done? When you're ready to exit, or when you're ready to pass it on to your kid, or whatever it is that you're going to do, begin with the end in mind. I heard a brilliant guy named Stephen Covey say that. Begin with the end in mind. And so I spend probably a good first call on just getting clarity on what it looks like at the end. Because we can't start taking a step in the right direction if we don't know what the zone is, where it is. Yeah.
Well, and I know Simon Sinek loves you, right? Because he's the big, why guy, right? And I think that a lot of the people that I encounter, and it sounds like you do too, they have this goal. I want to go to 20 to 30 million. I want to do that. Why? Right? I'm watching. It's fascinating. Like being a Buffalo Bills fan. Of course, I love Josh, but I'm watching this documentary on Netflix right now about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you've seen this yet. And I never really liked the guy because he was always on the opposing team. But now he's definitely, people say he's a little weird. I'm going to say he's complex, right? And you end up liking a guy, right? And I did anyway. But it blew me away that. He's been playing football since he was a kid. And then at a very young age, when he started with the Packers, when he got to play for the Packers finally, they won the Super Bowl right away, right? And celebration, trophy, MVP, woo, got on the bus and he's like, that's it? And he was like, he was like, he was deflated. He's like, did I go after the wrong goal? He was really questioning like his why, like why did he want to win the Super Bowl, right? And it sent him kind of on a life of curiosity and discovery, of exploring himself a little bit more, and basically Simon would say exploring his why, And I think what you're saying too, a lot of entrepreneurs, whether it's a personal goal or a business goal, sometimes I'll say often, they really don't know their why. Like, why do they want to get there? I want to go to 20 million to 50 million because it sounds great. All right, but why? What are you going to do when you get there, right?
Yeah, I look, my business, my coaching and speaking business could be 100 coaches, 100 trainers, 100 speakers, 100 of each. Literally, I could build that in less than a year. I have both supply and demand. I have people that want to coach under my name. I have people that want to hire me that I don't have the breadth to do. And my company is one person, me. By design, I said, I want this to be a quality of life business. I want it to go on for a long time. I want to make a difference in people's lives, but I don't want to have custodial responsibility for any human beings anymore. I had already done that a half a dozen times with 6 companies with large workforces. So understanding what it is that you're trying to build helps you say no to the things that aren't going to be positively contributing to it. And one of the things that I want to know from my coach clients is, what makes you happy? What gives you juice? Right? Because maybe what your painted picture is not going to give you the delivery on that. And by the way, since you brought up Simon's name, I got to tell you a very funny story. I don't know that I've shared this with many people, but I could write a book on all the mistakes I made in my life just as well as writing one on all the accomplishments. I don't think the mistake book would sell very well. Let me tell you all the things I did wrong. But here's one that ranks real high. Simon was at the beginning of his speaking career. I introduced him to the speaking world. And he came to me and he said, hey, listen, I got an idea. I'm going to write a book. And, you're the practical guy, Jack, and I'm kind of the theory guy. And I think if we did it together, it would be awesome. And it's going to be all about the why. And I'm going, Simon, I think writing that book would be fantastic, and I really wish you well, but I don't want to write another book, and I don't need another book. And then he went on to stardom with that book and his ex and all the rest of that, right?
Yeah. That book became, I believe, a top New York Times bestseller and really launched his career big time, right?
Yeah, and then he was in the top 10 of TED Talks, right?
Yeah. Start with why, right? Yeah. Well, it's funny you say with Simon. So when I was in EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, I was in there for about 15 years, and we were looking for speakers. And Simon, this was right before his book came out, And we contacted him to bring him to Rochester and Buffalo, right? Because it's EO, Western New York, our chapter.
Right.
And he goes, well, he's thinking of a price. And he goes, would you be able to do $1,500 for each city? And we're like, yeah, that's our budget, you know? Now he won't even return my call. I believe he charges like $250,000 or something like that, right?
Actually, he doesn't want to speak anymore. So he pulled himself off the market about 2 years ago. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I bet he'll do it for $1 million, but then he's doing 2 or 3 gigs a year instead of 50, right? And I know that. So you with your coaching, obviously you're only one person. You say you handle about 15 clients at a time. I'm not going to ask you the investment, but I'm sure it's not cheap, right? It's great value, and people are willing to pay for it. But I have to tell everybody, if you want to get coached by Jack, buy Life by Design. Right, I have the hardcover and the audio version, and I've done both. And what I love about the book is you've done such an incredible job, Jack, at chronicling the details of your life over the years. Like you're going back,
right,
like in your 40s, saying, "Oh, I did this on this day." I mean, and the detail is so amazing, and just the compound effect of that is really led you to getting better and better and better. Because you could look back, like where was I 20 years ago, right? And you want to make sure you're doing better, right?
Dave, my first attempt at that was 13 years old. I go all the way back to that. I don't go that far back in the book, but I have all those documents sitting here in my office that I can look back on, and remember the key moments in my life that caused that to have a positive impact. Right?
Yeah.
Know where you want to go. Know what you want to be. Know what you want to do. It makes it easy to design the path after that.
Yeah, so that's a great way to get coached by you, in my opinion, is to read and listen to that book and do the work in it, right? So it can make a huge difference in your life. Have you ever? I'm going to give you an idea here. Yeah, maybe this is like Simon talking to you years ago when you said no, and I should do this, right? But have you? And maybe you're doing this, and I'm sorry if you are. Just having how Zig Ziglar used to have the winning conference. I forgot what it was called, but Born to Win conference, right? And Zig Ziglar would have those a couple times a year in Texas, and thousands of people would show up, right? Have you ever thought about having a Life by Design, 3-day, huge in the San Diego Convention Center type of thing? I think you would sell that place out. But I'm just thinking out loud here,
Yeah. So I would tell you over 50% of the keynotes and full day sessions I do today are on Life by Design. And one was just a couple weeks ago in Philadelphia. A YPO guy saw me speak 2 days in a row for 4 hours each in Philly. The first day was 4 hours on business. The next 4 hours, the next day, were on Life by Design. He calls us up and says, when's the first time now I can get Jack to come to Philly? I have 80 top managers in the company, and I want him to deliver a full day workshop on Life by Design. So I talked to him and I go, hey, so do you want the full day on Life by Design, or would you like I could do 2 or 3 hours on how to grow your business? And he goes, no, all I want is Life by Design. If I could get my people to live a better life, intentionally led, then they're going to be happy employees and do a better job for me. And I'm going, gosh, you got to tell me more about your company. So what does your company do? And all that. And he goes, well, when I was 12 years old, and I'm like, he's going to take me to 12 years old. What has that got to do with his company today? And he goes, well, when I was 12 years old, I wanted to grab some extra money. And so I cut lawns in the neighborhood. And that business now is over $60 million a year, lawn care with 350 employees.
Wow.
And I'm going, my goodness. And he goes, yeah. And all I learned about business is take care of your employees and they'll take care of you.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did that full day workshop just a week or so ago. And I'm interacting with the group, and they're in round tables and they're working through worksheets and that type of thing. And I'm going to tell you, it was magical to watch people's lives change live in the room. Yeah. Like people walked out with a game plan on how they were going to up their game in life, right?
Yeah.
Life
I love it.
Is to be loved. That's the key, man. And one of the benefits of knowing you is no matter what the circumstances in your life, the highs, the lows, always you are with love. And, you wrote a book about that in terms of love. And it is a magical word. It's a magical word. And so my advice to people is, if you ain't loving what you do, man, go find something you love.
Yeah.
And everything else will work itself out.
Yeah. With that positive growth mindset, right? So,
Yep.
Isn't there, you reminded me of a story of two guys walking, then all of a sudden they both step in horse shit. And one guy's like, oh, my shoes are ruined. Son of a, gets pissed off. The other guy goes, well, that means there might be a pony around here, right?
Somewhere there's a pony in there. Absolutely. Look, how about the two shoe salesmen that were sent to Africa on separate planes? And, when the planes land, they get out, and it's one of those outside exits with the stairs outside, and they're looking out at the crowd of people, and one guy gets on his phone and calls back to home office and says, get me out of here on the first plane out of here. No one's wearing shoes here. No, I won't be able to sell anything. And the other guy's called at the same time and says, send me everything you got. Nobody's wearing shoes. Right? How's the listener embracing life?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's the epitome of the fixed versus growth mindset, right?
Absolutely. It sure is. You bet.
I want to end on this note, Jack, because people, that know you and watch you and listen to this podcast, maybe meeting you for the first time. We're getting them all little by little, Jack. They may think like you are, this crazy, wild, extroverted person, this effervescent personality 24/7, but you're a self-proclaimed introvert, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get on the plane and you're wearing your headphones. I wear my headphones on the plane, and if I can get from where I left to where I'm going and not talk to a human being, that is an awesome day. I'm very comfortable in my own personal space, and people coming into it, I'm going to be accommodating, but it is uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
I'm driven. And my profile on disc would be a driver. So I'm driven when I take the stage to deliver a high value program that people are enthralled with. That means that I have to operate out of my normal style. I have to be outgoing and the life of the party and telling stories and being animated and all of those types of things. And quite frankly, Dave, when I'm finished, I am spent.
Yep. You're ready to pass out.
Right? And if I can rush to the airport and go to my next gig and get there without another interaction, I'm good with that. Right?
You're happy.
So look, the best salespeople, as you know, are chameleons.
Yep.
And they morph into being more like the person they're calling on, because people do business with people they like, and they tend to like people that are more like them. Right. So I started selling at the age of 7. I owned the market and charged twice the price of every kid I competed with. But I had this skill set that said, hey, if the mom and grandmom that you're selling these potholders to, if you can find a way to make them smile, laugh, and get to like you, they're probably going to buy the potholder. It's only 25 cents.
Right. Yep. I love it. Well, the other reason I brought that up, Jack, is that saying that you're introverted, because there are a lot of people will use that as a crutch or an excuse of why they're not succeeding. And, and once again, you've been very instigative in saying like, well, this is how I naturally am, but I'm going to push myself in different areas of my life to succeed. And you've been the chameleon that you needed to be. And it's not fake. It's still very natural and authentic, but you're just, putting in some extra effort to meet people where they are, or where you need to be, right? Yeah.
That's well said. It's the extra effort, no question about it. Karen, my current wife, who was a client of mine for over 20 years, we had no idea we'd be together at some point in our lives. And, 5 years ago, we were out having dinner, catching up on life, and we kissed, and we've been kissing ever since. And when she moved in with me, it was an awakening. Like, who's the quiet guy here in the house?
Right.
because her whole observation of me before was half a dozen times as the speaker guy, then the consultant guy, and every once in a while we go to dinner, and I'm mirroring her, and she is an extrovert of an extreme nature, and so hey, she's going to be more comfortable if I get in her zone, right? But I'm not going to do that when I'm living with you 24/7. I'm going to revert back to who I am. So before she even moved in, Dave, we had the conversation and said, "Hey, by the way, let me tell you like what I'm like at home."
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you can't be on all the time. You'll get exhausted.
Yeah, she thought I was BSing her until she got here, right?
Right. Well, it's good that you got that expectation up front. Otherwise, you think like, well, maybe he doesn't like me. You're like, no, I'm just little Jack time, right?
Negotiate the terms of engagement on the front end, whether that's with a friend, whether it's with a business, or whether it is with your spouse. Negotiate the terms of engagement. Set that tone early.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Jack, I got to tell you, I am so glad your parents got married and had you. You are such a great human.
Okay, Raul, I hope they heard that.
I'm sure they're so proud of you. And
that's cool.
I know you're busy like crazy, so thank you so much for making time to be my friend, a mentor, and being on the show today. Truly appreciate you, and I wish you continued massive success because you are just getting started, baby.
Hey, clean up that weather up there, and I'll look forward to a visit when it's nicer climes.
We'll have you come out in July or August. You'll love it.
That's the time. Okay, bud.
Jack Daly, hey, if people want to reach out, what's the best way?
Jack at jackdalysales.com is my email. I'm an email type of guy. Or just go to jackdalyslifebydesign.com. or jackdalysales.com.
Beautiful. Jack, again, thank you so much. You have a great rest of the day. And I appreciate you and your time and everything that you're doing for the world.
You've lit me up for the rest of the day, Dave. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Jack. I also want to thank everybody again for watching and or listening. Do me a favor. Go to davidmamano.com. Get engaged with what we're doing here. Like that you could find our social media. You could share everything that we're doing. Like it, love it, do whatever you do. You can sign up for my newsletter. I'm trying to give you a lot of love to help bring your life to the next level, especially with great content from people like my friend Jack. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day and make sure to stay awesome.